This video is a full-length tutorial, so if you're interested in watching me speed paint this and forego all of the tutorial stuff, then please click the link in the description down below. With that said, here's the video, guys. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this here. So first off, we want to make sure we have our lids for our planets, for our moons. So get out your best lids, your favorite lids. Different sizes would be a cool idea. So go ahead and get those out and ready, and then make sure, good practice is to shake all your cans before you start. Now I didn't do that beforehand here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Just make sure that you shake each of your cans figure out all the colors you're going to use and try to shake, all those cans really well, so that way as you're painting you just grab it and paint with it, grab it and paint with it, instead of having to stop and then shake each can in between and take even longer. So here we just put a little bit of a shadowing around our planet stencils. Know where we're going to paint. You don't have to do that. That's just kind of a beginner thing. It's just kind of help out a little bit, help you out. I put white down, and guys, this is Walmart brand, cheap brands of spray paint, and that's all I'm going to use in this one. So that was red. It looked a little orange because of how cheap it is, I guess. Doesn't really come out very red, but it did advertise as red. So, and then I put down a little bit of black, and then put a little motion, a little kind of a U motion like that there, and you kind of get this. It's a different effect than just kind of press it down and pull the paper back off, guys. So kind of practice that if you want. This one come out really well. I missed a little bit of the top there, so I'll put a little extra, and then now I've kind of messed it all up, so we'll just go over it again. So remember, guys, don't be afraid to. You can go over it a couple of times. Just try not to drown it with too much paint, so that way you take off a good amount and you got a nice detail to your planet or moon. If you put on too much paint, it just kind of globs back off and doesn't look quite right. Alright, here we're going to use a little bit of the black. I do like the cheaper black because it makes for great shadowing because of how thin it goes on. And then a little bit of red over that there. But these cheaper paints are, they dry really quickly too, so I do like that. The colors just aren't all that bright. Now I put white down up there, but it's a good idea to cover up your other moons and stuff like that before you start throwing down colors in the next one by it, so you don't kind of get some of that color in your other moon, obviously. So this one I'm going to use a little bit of blue and some of the green. Just figured I'd use these cheaper paints I have here that have been sitting around for a while. A little bit of black, and then a couple of white spots just to get some highlights to it. So we do a little bit of that motion, and this comes out, the texture comes out a little different trying to do that U swipe motion when you got the paper folded over like that. But we're gonna add a little green. Like I said earlier, if you feel like you messed up a little bit, just go back over it. Just try not to put too much paint because you already have some down and you're about to put more on it, so just go a little easy. So do our texture, and yeah, we're gonna kind of leave it at that. I think that'll be pretty good. We're gonna cover up a lot of that and make it a little dark with the shadowing back in the back. So we'll grab our black and give it light shadowings a little bit because we're gonna use some of the other dark color we used in that planet. So blue would be darker than the green. Hit it with some blue, and then come down a little bit, do a little bit of green, and then I'm gonna do a little bright misting of some white on that end, and I think I might do a little bit of white up top. Yeah, do a little right up top, and we'll see how that comes out. Kind of offset a little bit of that darkness that's up there. Alright, so just make sure this is dry. If you're using some of the other brands like Rust-Oleum, Krylon, or some of those other brands there, it might take a little longer to dry. Make sure you get a good dryness to it to be able to set your stencil down. It doesn't have to be fully dry, but you just want to make sure that it doesn't stick and rip it up when you peel it up. These dry quick, so that's already good to go. And now in the back, we'll do a light misting of black, and I would do this with just about any type of paint, of a brand of spray paint, just real lightly, and then go over it with another color and just start, basically you're like feathering it in the different colors to kind of get that kind of a look of space to it. It's not really like I wouldn't say it's a nebula type thing or anything like that. It's just kind of just feathers into different colors. I mean, space is just straight black. If you look at some of these really cool photos taken from satellite pictures and things like that, and these pretty cool things you see on like people use the programs from what is it called, DeviantArt, I think is what it's called, or something, but you know, it's a computer animated art and stuff like that. They kind of end up looking like this. You got different colors blending into each other, lightly feathered in there. That's just kind of what we're going for. I missed the back on that one, so I'll put a little bit of black back there, and then just go over it again, grab some green, fill in some spots, and you just kind of lightly doing it. So I'm doing green around this one because that plant is green, and just kind of get that glow kind of coming off of it without, I don't want that bright glow you see in some of the spray art paintings. I want just a light glow around it, and then we'll repeat that process down here with the red. Alright, so we got that misted around there, so we'll grab our blocker here and we'll work on some water. Now with these cheap paints, the water is a little more difficult to do because these paints dry so fast. So put down some white, and then because it's water, I'll do some blue. And with how fast these dry, I should put on a lot more than that, but you can always go back over it with some more blue or keep some clear coat nearby. Clear coat is our friend when it comes to making water. See, we got a nice fluidness to it right there, and then see, it got stuck. Yeah, it's dried already. That's quick. And I put down a bunch of white and some blue, so these cheaper paints dry really quick. So I'll put on a little clear coat. I try not to put on too much because I don't want it to get runny and gunky. We're making rocks and stuff, so we don't want it to get too runny. And just be careful. Kind of hold on to the painting. It's another good reason to make sure you let the rest of it dry up top there, so that way you don't hang on to it up there with your fingers and then leave a fingerprint. So just do a little section, add some clear, and keep going. The clear coat is not a cheap brand. Clear coat, it is Rust-Oleum's Gloss Clear, 2X brand, Painter's Touch. I have not seen a clear in the cheap Walmart brand ones, in case any of you guys were wondering that. So we got that done, and we're going to go ahead and maybe prop this up, because if you need to make a couple of colors here for the, I am for a loss of words on that, the shadows and stuff like that, the reflections, there it is, reflections, get the word out, right? The reflections of the moons and planets that you do. Now, this isn't really necessary for this painting because they're mostly going to get covered up by rocks, but just to kind of show you guys how you can get the reflection, and just be careful because it does dry quickly, as I said. There it is, see? But this is just a kind of a beginner way, an easy way, and it comes out pretty nice, especially if you're using brighter colored spray paints and not these cheaper ones that they're not very bright. But this is an easy way, and then kind of make that painting like this, and then you can call it done if you wanted to make one of those paintings. I know you've seen those all over on YouTube, these planets with over the water and then just some reflection going on. Now I just noticed that I did forget the stars. So remember how we do the stars? We sprayed on our, hang on, this thing did not stay. Need 2 hands to make these stars here. Come on, there we go. So spray it on our finger off to the side, flick it off to the side 1 time so that we get off any excess, and then flick over our area that we want the stars. If you don't flick it off to the side first, you kind of get a little bit of a stickiness going, where you'll get some strands, you'll get big globs of stars, and you don't want a ton of really big stars, unless that's what you want to go for, what you're going for. Now it's time to make some rocks, little islands, or land pieces and stuff like that. Now this cheaper black spray paint is very thin, so it's going to take a lot to do with that. If you're using a thicker, better brand of spray paint, then you wouldn't need as much. But I did let this painting dry first, a good bit, so that way while we're putting this on, we're not blending that water into it, and instead of getting a nice black background rock, we got bluish black rocks. Another way of doing this instead of our piece of poster board is just a stencil. Kind of just rip apart a piece of paper into whatever shape you're looking to go for, and then set it there, and then spray. I have done that in a couple of my other videos. I'm sure you guys have seen that. It does work, but for rocks it really is a lot nicer and it's more fun too, just to grab a piece of poster board here and just dab and pull here, pull there, and just take that rock wherever you want to take it. Just form it however. You're just looking for the black background. You're gonna highlight and do all those things later, so just bring it out in the water, figure out if you want any points and bends into it, and very simple stuff. And I think that using this piece of poster board just makes it makes better ridges along the line, makes it look more like a rock because it's not as smooth as it would be if you used a stencil. But of course with a stencil you can still fix that up and make it look a little rocky as well, so whichever route you want to go with it. I just think this is a little more fun. So we got one rock going, one little island piece, so we'll come over here maybe and make another one, and we'll start on that one as well. And guys, this is just, to me, like I said, a lot more fun. I do have a video on how to make like mountains. I forgot to make a background for the before I made the mountain, so it does look kind of silly, but you kind of get a lot of the basic principles to how to make a little a mountain and things like that with the spray paint in that video, so you guys can probably check that out. I'll put that link in the description down below as well. It is a long tutorial kind of like this one, and I do ramble a lot, because if you guys watch my tutorials you'll know I ramble a lot. So, but I do hope they are some help to you guys. This is a fun thing to do, this spray paint art. And a lot of this here, you can actually do the same thing with acrylics. Like this here, where I use a piece of poster board, I would do that with acrylics instead of a brush. I would just use a piece of poster board, and it's just, I like the texture it gives, the look that you get with it versus the brush. I mean, you can go over it afterwards with a brush for the little details on the rocks if you want, if you were doing acrylic or something. So I let people know when they're watching these videos, hey, maybe you're an acrylic artist, that you're not into spray paint. That doesn't mean don't watch spray paint art videos. There you can come up with some new ideas and even some techniques to use on the acrylic paintings if you're new to acrylic painting. But for the most part, I think a lot of these little technique things were kind of adopted over from other other painting forms and things. I know if you watch a lot of oil paintings videos, you'll see how they do some of the stuff in there. Pretty much the same you're gonna do here. Especially with the rocks, I think. Now, guys, this is also make these rocks. This would be kind of about the same way you would pretty much make little asteroids and meteors in space. I had somebody ask about that before, and I'm going to make a tutorial about that in the near future. But I feel like it's a little redundant because, you know, it's pretty much just here. You're going to make a little black shadowing of your meteor, your asteroid, and then just make smaller ones as you go back if you're wanting like that asteroid belt to kind of disappear back into the back. And if you're going around the planet, just make small ones and then just kind of fill them in and make a highlight them and things like that. Ones that are behind other ones, leave them maybe dark, and it's just pretty much the same principle. I'll probably still make that video because they asked for it, but it is the same principle. So just when making these, you see how I brought the rocks out into the water with those points and everything. Later on when you go to shadow these, this will kind of help make the rock look like it's definitely lifted up out of the water. Plus, if you ever been out to the ocean somewhere or seen those movies or a video or even some pictures where the rocks go out in the water, you know that they go out and then they kind of sink down through the water, and you get that little bit of a where it kind of looks like it's you can see the rock, but it's just slightly under the water and things like that. So definitely be sure you get that out in the bring them down into the water. Don't just kind of leave it lumped there. Just little detail things and take your time with it. This is a fun, easy thing to do, guys. It really is a lot easier than it seems. Just take your sweet time with it. So we let this on the outside dry a little bit before you put on any colors over the top and things like that, because you don't want them to blend too much into it. Now here I'm just going to do green, I'm going to do red, different things like that, just because those are the colors from the moon up there. Just kind of go with it, but you can always use some brown. The back side, do like brown and some gray. You're going to make the side away from the light, and we're going to say that the moons up there are the light. Okay, so the side away from it, you want to make a bit darker than the side that's facing it. So whichever side of your rock you want to start on, you can start doing the light side first, and then the back side's already darkened, and you can leave it just like that, and it will look pretty cool. Or you can go in there and highlight some dark spots in there with some color if you wanted as well. I like to start usually on the dark side first, and then do my light side into that, but it's just kind of whatever you want to do with it. So I try to do the darks and then build up to the light spots. So we take some green. I mean, it takes time. It isn't a super fast thing. I mean, I'm not a street artist where they pop out paintings in 5 minutes and stuff like that. I like to take all the time it takes to make the thing, just like you would if you were doing oil painting or acrylic painting, and you come out with some pretty cool stuff. So if you're at home and you want to paint something, take your time, let things dry. You've got all the time to do it. Just let it dry. As you see, I'm highlighting just a little bit, and then it kind of blends in there with the darker paint and the black in the back, because I don't let it fully dry. I want that to kind of blend a little bit here and there. Leave some dark spots here and there, because you want some darker spots than you want those light spots that aren't really bright. And then later on, after we let it dry a tiny bit, we'll go in there and lighten it up and brighten a few spots on top of that, and it'll all start to come together. See, I'll bring it down into the water a little bit. We can pretend these are like the grass, or this green here I'm going to say is like moss, things like that. You never know plant life, or just that little bit of that gunk like slime, that whatever that you would see like on the rocks out by the ocean are a bit slippery, and that's usually some kind of film on it from the ocean water and stuff like that, or bird droppings. But so bring it down to the water a little bit, and just bring it out. Some highlightings. If you highlight it too much, you can always go back in and darken it up. And I'm going to do a little bit of green on all of them, just because I'm feeling like it's kind of a mossy thing. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that. And the way this one curves is going to be a little difficult for me to, where we're going to put these highlights. You want to make sure it gets that right curve look to it, because that piece here is sticking a little farther out in the back. It's farther back than this other part of it on the left side here. It's right here, sticking farther out in the middle. So you kind of got to work on that depth thing with the way it curved. Hopefully this tutorial is a little helpful for you guys. I mean, it's not too great on explaining it out. I can kind of show you, but the explaining thing, I'm not never been too well at explaining things out to people. But hopefully this is kind of understanding a few of the things here, So just make sure you get whatever colors you're wanting to put down. That's your second base. I call that my dark base for it, and then we'll go over. Sorry about that. So that's the dark base of it there, and then we'll go over it again and start doing the lighter base. But first I need to put a little red from the moon here. We'll try to get this paper to stay over here. I got the fan on good. It's hot out here today, so I got the fan blowing. It's just trying to blow this paper away. So that's a little bit of red, and put a couple of spots, and this will highlight the red moon we have there. And if you pull it around the edge, the right angle, you kind of get that look of it sloping down. See how it's just starting to slope down a little bit, the look to it. I'll brighten that up a little bit. And what's going to happen later is we're going to come in and actually dull that down a little bit as well. Because if it's too bright, it's not going to look like a rock per se, as it's going to look like just a big piece of confetti sitting out there or something, right? So there we get a little of that slope going. We'll do that over here. So we're just building it up. You don't want to put on too much and cover up everything underneath it. And you want to keep some of those dark black spots still showing. You want to keep some of that green showing between it, and just kind of have each one play off of the other one. And because this one over here on the right is actually farther away from the red moon, try not to put as much on that one. And now you're probably also thinking, like, well, what about the green moon up there? When you brighten it up and put a bunch of the lighter green and blue on the rock here because of that one there. I think doing it like this helps to show that that bigger planet is actually farther away than the little orange one. Plus, I would think the orange planet would be brighter anyways because of its color than the greener one. But however, none of it's completely perfect. Not a master of the stuff here. I mean, you can already tell, like, the island in the back there is actually got so much red on it, and some of it's actually facing away from the moon, so not exactly highlighted completely right, but kind of get that out here. Fix it up as we go along. So we'll put a little red here on the front of this one here. Try to get it look like it's just kind of peeking around the corner of this picture here. Scenery. So now we'll grab some blue. And we'll start to darken up the back here again. Some of the spots that are maybe too bright, too green. I will darken them up a little bit with the blue. There's a couple of spots and up along the edge. It kind of defines that that mountain tip, that edging. Remember guys, nothing has to be completely perfect. I mean, when it's done, you're going to be amazed with it anyways. As it's starting to come along, you're like, oh, this is junk, oh, this is no good. And then you're starting to get mad at your own painting. Don't do that. Just keep going. Just keep going. See if you can fix it. If you know, it's just, when it first starts, it's not gonna be great. You know, it's not gonna be, but it's gonna start to come together, guys. So just remember that. I mean, a lot of people get so upset that it's not looking like, you know, the picture on the front of the box. You know, you take the puzzle out of the thing, out of the box, it's not gonna look like it till you put it together, right? So, you know, give it some time and work at it. It's going to it's going to come together. So a little blue, a little here and there. And we'll even probably go back over this again with a little bit of green, especially in that one right above here. That's a bit too red. We'll do a little bit of green towards that one, I think, again. We'll see. Let's see, we adding that blue and darkening that one side. This rock over here, we've got this edge line going where it looks like it's the point of the mountain. And this is the back side, again, away from all the planets, so it's going to be the darkest. Just keep that in mind. I know a lot of newer spray paint artists I see doing that. They actually I'd see it mostly on the moons, I would say, because now when you're just starting out, you don't tend to do a lot of mountains or rocks or anything. But planets wise, they put that light side on the one moon on the right, and then on the other one it's on the left, and you're like, where's this light source coming from, guys? So you gotta remember your light source. For this one here, I'm just gonna say the light source is more the orange planet, and then maybe off in the distance to the right, underneath, there's a little bit of a light source, and that's kind of why it's brightening up the green-blue looking planet. So enough about that. Here we got doing the white here on it, and these are just I wanted to do the white. Mostly I would do the white on something that seems like it would be like a snowy top mountain, but I figured here you get a lot of those barnacles and stuff like that on the rocks out by the ocean. Again, we talked about birds, and we know what they do. So sea foam, things like that. Sometimes just at night you get that glow off of wet rocks. Tends to look pretty bright and white-like. So I thought a little bit of white in there. But you know, it's just one of those things you just put in your painting what you want to put in it. Just remember layers to layers. So I'm just add a little touch here and there on this top one. If you're dabbing it on and you end up with too much, try to scrape it down and blend it down and out. Like here I got a little bit of a point kind of set up too high on it, so just kind of blended it down. So it's starting to come along. And we'll do a little bit of white here on this one here. So it's kind of where the water splashes up on it. And you're getting a little bit of that shine, that glow from the planets that are out there. It also helps redefine where the points are on your rocks and things like that. And we'll add a little bit of red, and any of the spots you think you put too much white, you can go back in, put a little red, re-highlight with that. When doing that, I would use like a different color red, so red that's maybe a bit brighter than the last red I used. So when doing the rocks, but because they don't have step up and step down colors in these cheap ones here. But if you're using something like Krylon or Rust-Oleum, you can end up getting that dark blue, that medium blue, and then a really light blue, and sometimes an even lighter blue than that. And you would use those for highlighting. So you would do first put down, say if you were doing the red, you would use that really deep dark red first, and then build up with your lighter ones highlighting here and there. But with these, I've only got green, red, blue, black, and white. So I wanted to see what I could come up with just those. And of course the clear coat. You kind of have to clear coat with these cheap ones. There we go. We start blending that in, bring it down to the water a little bit, highlighting it out, and you start to really see that kind of that rock take form over there. Just a process. I have an old video that's kind of like this as well, guys. If you're interested in looking at that, it's how to do rocks, moons, stars, fog, like clouds and things like that. It's actually a very old video. So this one kind of, hoping kind of touches on a few of the things from that video and kind of updates it a little bit. But you can check that out for a few more ideas that maybe I didn't cover here in this video as well. But again, it's a very old video, so when looking through my videos, it's going to be in the bottom, guys. I will, I'm going to put the link of that video as well in the description down below for you guys, because it'll just be easier for you to find it. Don't hate on it too much though. It is a very old video. Like, I think it's the very first tutorial I made, so it's really horrible. Very old camera I had, and it's oh man, lots of thumbs down on that video. But I think it's been pretty helpful. I think that everybody who's subscribed to this page, I think, has seen that video. I think that's why they've subscribed to this page. So to see how I'm tapping it here, I just use the tip of it and just kind of tap into the colors there, guys. That's all there is to kind of putting those little details into the rock to get that porous, that rocky texture. Just kind of tap into the thing. That's why I don't think using a stencil would yield that same texture look. So here now we're going to go and start into the water section of it. I think this is what really drives it home on one of these paintings, and I still need a lot of practice on a lot of everything, really, but this water thing, I think if you do this in your painting, even if you're a beginner, you get that rock and mountain thing going. If you put it out there, you do it, and then you think, I don't think this is all that great, that's okay. If you do this water texture down here, this little highlighting here like this, I think it's going to make your painting look just twice as good, and it's gonna kind of draw away from any of the little flaws you have in any of the rocks. And whoever you show it to, they're gonna think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Just give it a try. Just a little bit of white, and then just tap and a little light drag back and forth, ever so lightly. You don't want too much, because what we're looking for is that little bit of waves that where the water kind of pushes up against the rock, and you get that little sea foam thing going. Though, anybody who doesn't live by it, say I live in Florida, so I see it on the beaches up against we have some rocky shoals on some of the areas around here in Florida and stuff. So you see it a lot. But if you don't live near the ocean, check out some pictures on like Google or something like that. Find some of those pictures and you'll see what I'm talking about, where the water crashes up against the rocks and it starts to get foamy. It starts to get that white caps going to it. So you figure wherever the rocks come out into the water, that's a good place to start. And I bring it out a little farther, and that kind of makes the eye feel like there's rocks right down underneath that water that's just barely under the surface, and it's just kind of hitting it, and it's churning that water up. So, and as the water's trying to push through these rocks that are so close together, these little island pieces here, and as they push through there, it's going one way, it's going the other way, and it just starts churning, and things start to get a little hectic in there. And that's kind of what I'm going for there with this. Now, after you put that white there, a nice thing to do is go in and re-add. I like to add a little bit of some dark blue sections to it. Now again, I only have the one blue with this cheap paint. I like to go in and kind of touch those up, add some dark blues in there, then re-add some more white to it and just start to blend those two together. Because when you see those white tops to the that churning water hitting the rocks, you also see right underneath it the darker water, those darker spots. And it's just kind of a detail that you add to it. It's one of those it's not a fancy detail, but it draws the eye away from certain things. Up here, so I'm pushing some white up near the rock, giving it that little bit of a splash look, like it's splashed up on the rock up there. And it's just that little, I call them cheap details. They're not super fancy, but they add so much to the painting, guys. So just kind of go in there and do a little bit of that here and there. If you're doing some water, you're gonna love the outcome. Now here's what I'm talking about, where I put a little bit of that blue, and what's gonna happen is we're gonna blend that back down into it in a minute. So I add some blue right underneath that, the darker spots. And let me see what I'm missing over here on the side. Right, we got the clear coat. We're gonna need the clear coat to do this part here. So clear it up really well. All right, and now take your piece of poster board, preferably like a light clean one, and just lightly blend, ever so lightly. Don't blend way up on the very edge. You still want to have some of that crashing up on the rocks, but blend ever so lightly in there. And that's going to start to give it that wavy look without being, you're going to see we made it hectic, and now we're bringing it back down a little bit, just a little bit. You don't want to bring it down too much because they're still crashing in between there as the water goes between there, but you want to bring it back down a little bit. So it's hectic, and we bring it back down a little bit. So it's still moving, it's still churning. It's just not going like it's in a blender. Though we're blending. So we blend a little, ever so lightly in there. And I like that extra blue in there helps to give that water, that more of that crystal-y water feel to it as well. In some of those areas between where the rocks go, where the water's just not crashing, it's more clear in some of those hideaway areas. And there we go. That water looks really nice, so go ahead and sign it. Always sign your stuff, guys, when you're done with it, but I'll still take a look over it and see if there's anything else we can touch up on it. So guys, that's pretty much the video though. So I do hope it was helpful to you guys. I know it's long-winded, but go through it and just check some things out and try a couple of these things. I want you guys to try to make rocks and stuff. Keep an eye up here. You see how we're making these clouds, these little, it's just a piece of poster board we tore and then just lightly hit it, and we're spraying at the board, the poster board itself, guys. I've showed you guys how to do this in other ones. So just spray at it. Then you can go back over the tips of some of them and spray it again, and it'll lighten up a little more. And that's how we have some fog and clouds and things like that, guys. So that's pretty much the video. As I was saying, try rocks at home, guys. Start out with just like one rock in the middle of your water. Do the water effect, guys. The water effect is a lot of fun, and then start to touch on it like I did here with the extra white and get that foaminess going and everything, guys. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Okay guys, this video was a lot of fun to make, and I know you will have a lot of fun making something like it at home as well. So go out and have some fun, make a couple of little island rocks in the middle of the ocean. Make a mountain, something like that. Use the water effect to get that water kind of splashing on things. Great for rivers, great for out in the ocean and things like that, where you just use a piece of poster board and you just add up a little bit of white and other stuff here and there, the little colors, and just kind of, it's, you see it, guys. It comes out pretty cool. So definitely try that at home. Thank you very much for all your support, guys, every one of you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please click the subscribe button and click the bell next to the subscribe button. Even if you've already subscribed, go ahead and click that bell if you haven't already. What it does, guys, is it gives you a notification every single time I upload a video. Guys, I don't upload hundreds of millions of videos, so you're not going to be annoyed with the notifications from my channel, guys, but it will help you to know when I've uploaded a video, and you can check it out. That helps me. It helps you learn a couple more other things and have a little fun on the channel as well. Most importantly, smash the thumbs up button for me. That helps let other people know it's a cool video and that it's a helpful video. Leave a couple of comments down below as well, guys. Just let me know if you thought it was cool. Just put, this is a cool painting, or let me know that it's it was the worst thing you've ever seen, if that's what you want, guys. Let me know what you're painting, if you're painting something or creating something, even if it's not with spray paint. You're using acrylic, you're using oil. Hey, let me know what you're painting. I would love to hear about it. And just start little conversations with people. This is a great little community channel, and it's starting to grow, and people are leaving comments and talking with each other, and it's a lot of fun, guys. So be a part of it and leave a couple of comments and have some fun, guys. With that said, thank you very much for watching this video. Oh yeah, I made a short video of this as well, a really speedy, quick one, so that way you can share with friends and stuff if you want. That way they don't have to sit through this long video. Guys, you can go and share that video. I put the link to that one in the description down below, guys. So definitely go share that one away with everybody, and you know, do the same thing. Comments and likes, guys. Let me know what you think. We'll see you guys in the next video. You guys are awesome. Remember what we say, keep creating. Just paint something.